This has been a very active severe weather season, with the overall number of tornadoes trending well above average. And we know that the season is not yet over. We've seen tornado ratings as high as EF4 this year. Today, though, marks the anniversary of one of the most notorious and heartbreaking EF5 tornadoes in our nation's history. It was 14 years ago today, a devastating EF5 twister struck Joplin, Missouri. What was meant to be a joyous day of high school graduations turned into an unimaginable nightmare. With winds exceeding 200 miles per hour, the tornado stayed on the ground for nearly 22 miles, leaving a trail of total destruction in its wake. Thousands of homes, schools, and businesses were obliterated, causing a staggering $2.8 billion in damage. Tragically, more than 150 lives were lost, and more than 1,000 people were injured. This remains one of the deadliest tornadoes in United States history. In March, Netflix released a documentary, The Twister Caught in the Storm, offering a powerful and emotional look back at the day that forever changed Joplin. Shortly after the film's release, we spoke with the director, Alexandra Lacey, and meteorologist Chad Crilly, whose personal story was featured in the film. Take a listen.
It's really important that people understand the human impact when Mother Nature takes control. And I wanted to make a film with a unique cast of characters that could say something more about human nature, show hope in adversity.
From that day on, I kind of took what I learned in Joplin and took it with me for the rest of my life and into my career. And that lesson that I learned was severe weather can absolutely have an impact on people's life, on their property. And it gave me that purpose of protecting life and property during severe weather.
Yeah, documentaries like this one help shed light on the dangers that tornadoes can bring, and so do the people that told that important story, the ones who were on the ground that terrible day in the immediate aftermath. And that includes Fox weather correspondent Robert Ray, who arrived in Joplin just 2 hours after the tornado hit, and he joins us now to reflect on his experience. Robert, you've seen so much in your career. Take us back to that day. What do you remember most? I would have to think, of everything you've seen, this has to be near the top of just heartbreaking events that stay with you.
Yeah, Ian, just listening to your intro, gave me goosebumps. I don't get those very much anymore, and is very emotional to think back about Joplin, Missouri. And yes, it was one of the worst situations that I've ever come across. Anything close would be the tsunami of 2004 in Sri Lanka, which piles of death I witnessed. The Pakistan earthquake of 2005, piles of death in the Kashmirian mountains, and then Joplin. The EF5 tornado, and to come into that situation, and for the first time in my young career at that point, I was working for the Associated Press, to see a swath of devastation in the United States like that was something that I was not prepared for by any means. And it took me aback and will never leave me, certainly not. The sounds, the visuals, the smells, the death, one of the worst things I have seen in the United States, next to Hurricane Katrina, likely.
It might be a tired word that's overused, but it was so appropriate in this case. Unimaginable. We cover tornadoes a lot, and we show scenes, but I think unless you've seen something like this with your own eyes in real life, it feels unimaginable, like it literally cannot happen. You were one of the first journalists on the ground there. How did you even process what you were seeing? I think a lot of folks with the documentary that came out on Netflix were just stunned to see some of these pictures.
It was tough to process, and it was tough to get in and make your way through Joplin at that point right after it had happened. The debris fields, it wasn't like there was a board on the ground with nails or a piece of steel. I mean, we're talking about debris fields that were feet high, and you can't drive through that. And to circumnavigate into those areas was very difficult. And so I had to get out on foot and walk through the piles. And I wasn't quite sure exactly what I was doing, to be totally honest with you, because I had not seen destruction like that so quickly after it had happened. What I could tell you is that it was still very windy. I recall it was raining. There was screaming all over. Every direction I looked and listened, I could hear screams. I could hear car alarms that were going off, house alarms that were going off, and just chaos and pandemonium of people yelling out names, trying to figure out exactly where their friends or their loved ones were, and walking over those debris piles, with a camera in my hand and trying to capture everything I could, not only from video, but still photography, and then trying to talk to survivors and, get all of this into the Associated Press headquarters back in Washington, D.C. at the time, because I knew that, this was going to be the biggest story, likely for sure in America and at that point in the world for that weekend and the following days that headed across. I wanted to get that information out quickly. And so it was very, very tough. And, to be honest with you, I at the time, I wasn't just covering, weather events. I was covering everything, mass shootings and you name it, anything that happened across the United States. But I don't think anything prepared me for those circumstances in such a short period of time after that EF5 went through Joplin.
Yeah, Robert. Well, I'll say this, is that there's a context and a compassion to your reporting every day here on Fox Weather. And I don't think you can have that without seeing an event like that of such a heartbreaking nature, and then seeing a community like that coming together and building back. So we're lucky to have you, and thank you for reflecting on that 14 years ago today now. That's Fox Weather correspondent Robert Ray.
Yeah.
Thanks.